Let's talk about the great Indian robbery trick. We're famous for our magic tricks, and here I'm going to show you how our gold, our family gold, has magically disappeared. So, this whole investigation and thought process about intergenerational equity and our obligations to the future came up in the Supreme Court case, the Goa mining case in the Supreme Court. The Shah Commission said in its report that at the approved rate of extraction and given the known reserves in the state of Goa, just by simple division, 577 million tons were the remaining known reserves, 66 million tons was the approved extraction. By division, the minerals would exhaust in 9 years. What about future generations? Don't we have an obligation? The Supreme Court picked this up. The Goa Foundation had also complained that there was widespread environment and social damage, which also raises the question of future generations. So an expert committee was put in place to look at how to implement intergenerational equity, and that's where Goa Foundation started looking at this question of what do other people do to implement intergenerational equity. Now it turns out that this whole thing is actually very simple, and let me just explain it with our 5 principles. The first principle is minerals are owned in common and the state is merely a trustee. Second is we have inherited the minerals and our obligation is to ensure that future generations also inherit the minerals or their value. If we mine, we must ensure zero loss. In other words, we must get the full value of the mineral other than any extraction costs. Everything we get from mining, we must save away for future generations, otherwise we'll be cheating them. Lastly, since we own the minerals together, we therefore own the fund together, and any income from the fund that's left over after inflation, we are suggesting that we simply distribute it equally to everybody as a right of ownership, a commons dividend or a citizen's dividend. Essentially, it takes the perspective that minerals are a shared inheritance and we are protecting the inheritance for all generations, and income that comes from this we share equally and at the same time that the income is generated. So income generated today we share equally, income generated at the time for children they will share, and it will pass on from generation to generation. Now if this is intergenerational equity, when we look at mining we basically have to look at what is it that we inherited. Now we've inherited essentially 3, there are a few more things, but the main 3 things are the mineral itself, which has a lot of value, just like gold has value, iron ore has a lot of value. The second is the environment and the forests and our natural environment all over the state, because mining is impacting not only our rivers, our forests, our fields, our water source, all kinds of aspects. And the third is the actual opportunity to mine, because the income from mining, the employment, the trucking business, the barge business is all associated with the mineral. Once the mineral is finished, all that business goes away. So even that is an exhaustible resource, the actual employment. So we have to ensure that each of these 3 in a sense passes on to our children. Now the idea of the employment associated with mining, what is being suggested is a cap on mining, extending the extraction period over at least 7 generations, about 200 years. A separate cap on mining to ensure that there's no long-lasting environment or social damage from mining. But the most important part of what is possibly the most important part and the cause of most of the trouble with mining is the actual value of the mineral itself. Now, what is being recommended around the world basically is our 5 principles, or our last 3. If you mine, make sure you get the full value of the mineral and save everything for the future, and any income you get, share. That's simple intergenerational equity. But we said, let's go back and look at what's happened in the state of Goa in the past. Have we actually met intergenerational equity? In which case, there's no problem. Now, all mining in the state of Goa is in the private sector. There is no government, public sector undertaking doing mining. But so if you look at principle 3, zero loss mining, we know how much the government got from mining because that's in the budget. We can see the mines department's receipts. The question we have in front of us is what was the mineral worth before it was taken out of the ground? Now the simple way to figure out what the mineral was worth is what could we have sold it for and what would it have taken to take the mineral out and get it to the point of sale. Everything else is the value of the mineral. Now, since mining was in private hands, we said that whatever the private body sold the mineral for, we as government or we as the owners of the mineral could have sold it at that same price. We could have asked the private entities to extract the mineral and they would correctly have charged us every single paisa of the expenses, plus they would want a profit. They're in business after all, and legitimate profit is fine. But everything else would then come to us. We had the annual reports of Sesa Goa, which is Goa's largest mining company. They were accounting for nearly 1/3 of the mining in Goa over an 8-year period from 2004 till 2012. And most of Sesa Goa's mining was in the state of Goa, and entirely iron ore. So we used Sesa Goa's financials and we just scaled up these numbers using the industry body Goa Mineral Ore Exporters Association to arrive at all Goa numbers. So the numbers I'm going to take you through now are for an 8-year period for all of Goa for iron ore mining. In this 8-year period, Goa exported 88,000 crores of iron ore. I'd advise you to just remember 88. The expense associated with that was 34,000 crores, 31,000 crores being the actual expense, and we said that the mining company should make a profit. Now, in this kind of a business, a good profit would have been 10 to 12% after tax return on assets. Note that we're saying after tax and we're saying return on assets. It's not before tax and not return on equity. 10 to 12 is very good, but we said if we had set it at 12%, the mining companies may have said that it should be 13% or 14%. Your calculations are entirely wrong. So let's skip all these debates. Let's set it at 20% after tax return on assets. That's extremely high. You cannot get such returns even in the stock market. And this is essentially digging out the earth and shipping it out. That amount works out to only 3,000 crores over these 8 years. So 31,000 crores was the expense, 3,000 crores was a very generous profit for a total expense of 34,000 crores of extraction. We sent out 88,000 crores. Our cost should have been 34,000 crores, and therefore by subtraction 54,000 crores was the value of our minerals. I normally ask two questions. Firstly, how much should the state of Goa have received of this 54,000 crores? Well, it's obvious. It should have got all 54,000 crores. It belonged to us and we should have got every single paisa of 54,000 crores. The second question is, this has actually happened. How much did we actually get for our 54,000 crores of minerals? We can look it up in the budget. What do you think? Take a guess. I'll tell you. The number was actually 2,400 crores. 2,387 crores to be precise. Less than 5% of 54,000 crores are mineral value. In other words, we lost 51,500 crores over an 8-year period. 51,500 crores. And it's just a staggering amount. But we must also remember we got 2,400 crores. So remember our fourth principle, everything we get from mining we must save. But what did the Goa government do? It treated this 2,400 crores of royalty as revenue and has spent that also. So the bottom line is our children are going to get 54,000 crores less than we received. We have cheated our children of 54,000 crores. But what is 54,000 crores? It's just a large number. So let me try and explain it to you in a few different ways. In those same 8 years, the state government revenues from all sources, every single tax from mining, from every single source had revenue of only 27,000 crores. That's about half of what we lost. Imagine if you are running your house and you're earning 10,000 rupees every month, but at the same time you're losing 20,000 rupees of your inheritance, your virasat. Can you imagine a more stupid system? But that's what's been going on for 8 years, month after month, year after year. If we divide up this amount between all of us, it works out to each one of us lost 3.7 lakhs. Each and every one of us, or the equivalent of 4,000 rupees every month for 8 years, approximately 3 times the poverty line at that time. NSSO, our National Statistics Organization, recently showed that the average private wealth in the state of Goa per household was 10.5 lakhs. If we each lost 3.7 lakhs, a household lost nearly 15 lakhs. So we lost in our common resources more than all of us own in our private hands. Are we mad? And let's look at it a last possible way. Had we taken all this 54,000 crores and had saved it, like we suggest, and had just earned 3% income after inflation. Most countries assume that they earn 4% after inflation, but we've been conservative again and said only 3%. If he had done that, today every single person in the state of Goa would get 1,000 rupees as a citizen's dividend per month. A family of 4, however rich or poor, would get 4,000 rupees as a citizen's dividend as their right. We have been sleeping, we have given up this enormous amount of income, and this, our right, would have extended not for us only, but for our children, for our future generations, essentially in perpetuity. We would not have to be poor. We would not have to have poverty. We would not have to have these kinds of problems. This is really violative in many, many fundamental aspects. What have we done? We have taken 3.7 lakhs from every single person in the state of Goa, regardless of how rich or how poor they are, and we made 40 families rich. Is this trickle down? Or is this looting economics? In what way is this socialism? How is this even capitalism? Our common property is being taken away by a few people. What is the point of saying we want equality? We want justice. What is, how does this work with the common good? This is completely unethical, immoral, unfair, unjust, and wrong what's going on. And this must be stopped.